Shalom, Kahal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elder that came before them that taught us truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word and truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I am the brother Yashawan, back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. All right. We're going to do something a little different today. All right. We're going to examine what is going on on the continent of Africa. All right. And in order to do that, first we have to filter everything through the scriptures like we always do on the update. So we'll start at Ezekiel 38. Okay. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. This is talking about Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn. Now we're getting into what's going on in between Russia and Ukraine. And I will turn thee back. Who? Russia. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Okay? So the Most High is controlling Mother Russia, if you will, turning them back to that old Soviet spirit, right? And you got Vlad Putin over there wanting to put back the Soviet Union, put it back together. Is he not? He's taken over Ukraine. He's pressuring Belarus. He's like this, we're going to get the band back together and put hooks into thy jaws. The Most High is controlling this whole situation. And I will bring thee forth. What does that mean? Beat your plowshares into swords. Bring this army. And all thine army. I will bring thee forth, Gog, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, that military. All right? Then it goes into the allies, Iran, and here's what we're looking for. Ethiopia and Libya with them. It specifically mentions Ethiopia and Libya. Here we have Persia, yeah? Okay? But those in the know that Persia is talking about Iran. Ethiopia is Ethiopia. Libya is Libya. This is down on the continent of Africa. With them, with who? With the Russians on the side of all of them with shield and helmet. Then we got Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tagarma of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Okay? Going into the allies of the Russians on this side of World War III. So let's get a look at it. And it looks like this. Now, who is Gomer and Tagarma? Well, there's Turkey. You understand that. And Syria. See how Persia is Iran? And Libya and Ethiopia, okay, with them. Could it be that the Sudan, while they're kicking the Americans, they're getting Americas like this, we're the hell out of there. Sudan might be on the side of Ethiopia. They had them fighting. See, if you go to the Middle East, right? The Americans had Iraq fighting against Iran in the 80s. They went and made a deal with Saudi Arabia to keep this whole region fighting against each other, right? Yemen, right? Syria, Jordan, all of them fighting. The whole Middle East been fighting each other going back to what? the deal that was made, that was struck with the Saudi Arabians about the oil, right? So this whole region has been what? Destabilized. Why? Because America went in there and said, we're gonna take the oil one way or the other. You might as well strike a deal. Okay, and that's their foreign policy. They go and destabilize the whole region, keep them fighting. Well, that came to an end. Saudi Arabia said, okay, get the hell out of here. And now who's in trouble, right? That would be the least of the flock over here is in trouble because they don't belong there, right? Okay, so what's going on over here, right? Same thing. They're destabilized. You got, here's Eritrea fighting against the Ethiopians, right? That's been going on. So if this whole place is destabilized, who's over here doing it? The devil. So I would say that whatever's going on right here is being undone, and these people are about to come together. You got Libya over here, which is on the African continent. Ethiopia is with who? With the Russians, right? Magog, Russia. This is a coalition, okay? So I would say that whatever's going on here, which we're going to take a look at, is the same thing that's going on over here. Saudi Arabia said, okay, we're not going to fight against the Iranians no more. We're going to team up, right? And where can we find these two teaming up? All right, let's get that real quick, and then we'll take a look at some, I think we did this yesterday. What is it, 15? Let's go to 15. The dragons of Arabia. Behold, a horrible vision. This is 2 Ezra 15 and 28. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east. The Middle East, maybe? Where the dragons of, if you put Saudi in front of this word, what do you have? Saudi Arabia. Not that that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the Arabs. Shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also, the Carmanians raging in wrath. Who are the Carmanians? That's the Persians, the Iranians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as wild boars of the wood with great power, and they shall come and join battle with them. The Iranians are going to join battle with who? The Arabs. Now let's look at that on the map again. That hasn't gone on in forever. Where's that? That's not what I want. I want the other one. This one. Okay. There's the Carmanians, right? The Iranian, the Persians here. And here's the Arabians, Saudi Arabia. A bunch of Arabs in this area. But let's just deal with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is buddying up with Iran right now. They're no longer at odds. Okay? You see that? So is not Saudi Arabia dealing with Russia too now? See, sides are being drawn, lines are being drawn and sides are being chosen. All right? Doesn't it make sense? It doesn't mention Saudi Arabia over here, but if you go look right now who's making oil deals and who's coming back together after being against each other for years and under the destabilization regime of Babylon the Great, what do you think is going on right here? Get out of here. Get out of here. This is Africa. This is the land of Ham, okay? So anyway, and I mean, I am extrapolating, all right? But extrapolate this. We're going to go here. We're going to start right here. See, because this guy, the voice of reason, Military and Foreign Affairs Network, he stays up on what's going on in Ethiopia. He stays up on. See, you won't hear about this in the mainstream media. They're only focusing and pointing at what's going on in Russia, right? Which is significant, but what about what's going on over here that nobody hears about, right? Watch this. Let me go back one. And let's take a look at this guy's page, all right? Ukraine deception counterstrike. Right here today, 1 day ago, Sudan, heavy fighting resumes. Ukraine, Sudan, Bakhmut. If we go back a couple of months, what else are we going to get? Sudan, Ukraine. What else? Sudan. We did this the other day too. Got China here. Okay. The battle between Ethiopia and Eritrea and the Tigrays, it kind of died down, but this guy was on top of all of it. Okay. While it was, popping. So, but people won't know anything about it because they want you to focus on something different. Battlefield Ethiopia. So he's very, he's spread out. Ethiopia. War in Mexico, huh? So this is a good channel to go to. See, Battlefield Ethiopia. Ethiopia. This is 3 months ago when it was popping off, see? And Ethiopia is on that map. It specifically mentions Ethiopia, Libya. What happened in Libya? Okay. Is Ethiopia not important in what's going on? Of course it is. So these are the things that you keep your eye on, knowing what the scripture says. You can't let these things, see, the devil is only he's distracting you. Battlefield Ukraine 5 months ago. Ethiopia, everywhere. See? Now that it's died down, but what do we have today? Okay, let me show you Ethiopia again. Ethiopia. You see that? Hey, you got Russia. Everybody knows that what's going on in Turkey. What's going on in Syria, right? Turkey, right? This is all pertinent to World War III, okay? Now, fast forward to today instead of 3 months ago, what do you see? Sudan, heavy fighting resumes. What's going on over there? So let's take a look. Go back here. Of course, the devil is distracting. Pay attention. Focus.
69.
This crazy shit. Right, here we go.
And welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today,
this is 1 day ago.
We're continuing our ongoing coverage of the conflict that is taking place inside of Sudan. So today, the U.S. military has evacuated its civilian staff members.
Wait Wake up. That's what? What is America doing in the? How come Sudan ain't over here with conducting, having a little base? Okay, embassy. Okay, yeah, you can have an embassy, United States embassy. What are you doing over there? They're getting ran out of there right now.
From the United States Embassy in Sudan. This is the locale of the U.S. Embassy. It sets just off the Blue Nile. Exactly its distance from the Blue Nile, from the outskirts of the compound, is essentially about a quarter of a mile. If you look at where the embassy is at, it's actually out on the outskirts of the capital, Khartoum. Again, a lot of the fighting we're seeing is taking place to the north-northwest. There's also fighting taking place elsewhere to the south, too. But some of the heaviest fighting has been taking place near the International Airport, the Ministry of Defense headquarters, and other locales inside the city itself, especially along the key bridge holds. But if you zoom in again here, this is the locale of the U.S. Embassy compound. And quite a compound indeed. In terms of size, if we switch this over to, we'll do meters, and essentially you're looking at 156 meters on the Blue Nile side, and then again from Blue Nile west is 258 meters, with numerous structures and a nice swimming pool. But it sounds like the U.S. Launched an operation with around 100 special operations forces. They could have been Marines. Difficult to say at this point. They used CH-47 Chinooks.
Shit hooks. What is America doing launching an operation in Africa, in the Sudan? Huh? And ain't nobody saying nothing about it. What is the United States over there? They're destabilizing the region so that they can get what they want up out of there. Are they not? That's what they do. What's the MO? What is the foreign policy MO of the United Snakes?
It's interesting because the range of the mission radius of a Chinook is around 200 or so miles, and it can go longer, further, depending on how much the aircraft is carrying. But these are going to be loaded with embassy personnel. And if you look at the distance from the U.S. Embassy to the Red Sea, you're looking at damn near 400 miles. So that's out of the range of the CH-47, with the exception of maybe like ferry range. It's possible that the CH-47's refueled near the embassy, maybe, possibly. Difficult to say. We don't know for sure. But it seems like those CH-47s did not go back to the Red Sea, and we don't even know if they initiated in the Red Sea. We know that there was also a buildup of U.S. forces in Djibouti as well. So the question is did they then proceed to another secure airfield someplace in Sudan that's not being talked about, and then flown out on C-130s? Possibly. We just don't know yet. But all the embassy personnel are out. It sounds like there was a lull in the fighting that took place for about 24 hours. It looks like the Sudanese Air Force decided not to take to the sky. We know that U.S. aircraft were over the embassy, a variety of systems. I'm guessing they brought in a gunship, a C-130 gunship as well. Possibly, of course, drones were used. But it looks like, again, it was a successful operation in getting American personnel out of there. It looks like the French embassy also tried to evacuate. They came under fire and they allegedly had to go back to their embassy. We don't know the status of the French forces.
What could that mean? We want the West to fuck up out of here. Okay? French, whoever is uh, dealing with the coalition of the West, NATO, EU, right? Babylon, they want them out. Sides, lines are being drawn, and sides are being. I choose. What could that mean? All right. So that's enough right there. Let's go here. Let us go. So, Lock, you bear with me. First, let's go. What does this say? Americans abandoned again, right? U.S. citizens, not the embassy, not the ambassadors, but what? Caught in Sudan war. No rescue plan being. That's totally contrary to this. Let's watch this. U.S. Special Operations forces evacuation of the American embassy. Oh, we got everybody out. We got everybody out. But then the real news. See, this is CBS News. Let's watch this. So lock here. Okay. See, you got to watch out what news you're watching. You watch the mainstream media, they're going to tell you what they want you to hear. They ain't going to tell you nothing close to the truth. Here we go.
Daring evacuation of the American embassy in Sudan. U.S. Special Operations Forces, including the Navy's elite SEAL Team 6, were involved in the planning and the execution of the operation.
There's that thing. When you hear SEAL Team 6, what are you thinking about? That is a dog whistle to the Chaldeans, okay? The upper elites. When they hear SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 6 destroyed Osama bin Laden in the no. Okay, you got to know how to listen to the news. See, when they start, this is CBS News, when they start slinging around dog whistles like SEAL Team 6, I thought all of SEAL Team 6 died in the operation where they went into blah, 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 blah. Didn't they go murder all of SEAL Team 6 so that they wouldn't be able to tell the real story about what happened to bin Laden? How he was on dialysis and just the whole thing. Anyway.
SEAL Team 6 were involved in the planning and the execution of the operation. Roughly 100 American diplomats and their families rushed to safety, escaping the war-torn country. The military using 3 Chinook helicopters in the middle of the night. Those choppers only on the ground for about an hour during the evacuation. Diplomats had been sheltering in place at the embassy compound in the capital of Sudan. There is now no official American presence in the country. President Biden personally signed off on the mission on Friday and ordered it to be carried out as soon as it was safe and feasible. All of this as fighting rages on in Sudan, including attacks on more than a dozen healthcare facilities. The World Health Organization says more than 400 people have died, close to 4,000 wounded. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze leads us off tonight from the White House.
Tonight, under the cloak of darkness, U.S. Special Operations Forces executing a dangerous and daring mission to evacuate the American embassy in the capital of Sudan.
To see how slick and high-tech this whole operation, and when I say that, I mean ABC News. They're putting it to, hey, believe this. Believe this. All right? Look how slick this production is.
More than 100 Special Ops forces, including the Navy's elite SEAL Team 6, successfully carrying out the operation. 3 Chinook helicopters taking off Saturday from a U.S. base in Djibouti, flying 800 miles to Sudan's capital, Khartoum, stopping only to refuel in Ethiopia. The helicopters on the ground in Sudan less than an hour before airlifting almost 100 American diplomats, staff, and their families out of the country.
Anytime you're flying at 100 knots, very close to the ground in pitch black. There's certainly some risk there.
The Pentagon calling the mission fast and clean, with no shots fired at the choppers in Khartoum and no casualties.
How much equipment did you leave there? Anything like in Afghanistan? Did you just leave a whole bunch of weapons and $1 million tanks and planes? How did it go down this time?
All evacuees are now safe and secure. Tonight, a National Security Council spokesperson tells ABC News President Biden authorized the operation on Friday. The president saying in a statement, "I'm grateful for the unmatched skill of our service members." This new image showing Secretary of State Blinken monitoring the evacuation in real time.
It was a very well executed operation that I think, when it comes to these type of operations, it may be a model for the future.
Several other countries, including Italy, France, and the UK, now racing to evacuate their embassies as the fighting intensifies in Africa's third largest country. The violence sparked by a power struggle between two rival military generals. In 9 days, more than 420 people have died and nearly 4,000 more injured. Up to 16,000 Americans, many of them dual citizens, are still in Sudan.
What about evacuating them? Look at Jake. All right.
Mir Mohammed's two children are dual Sudanese American citizens, 2 and 5 years old, stranded in Khartoum with their aunt.
We don't have any land because all the airports there.
If you understand anything about geography and where the real Egyptians went, that's one right there. That's an Egyptian. Well, the ancient Egyptians, if you will.
Are closed now.
Now, he kind of looks like an Arab, but
they cannot sleep at the night. They're crying. They have a nightmare. They said the military are coming. They will kill us.
The State Department says no large-scale evacuation plan is in place for American citizens. New images show convoys of UN vans lining up on the 518-mile road from Khartoum to Port Sudan, now one of the only ways out.
Let's get right to Elizabeth Schulze from the White House. Elizabeth, what steps can the Biden administration take at this point to help those thousands of U.S. citizens who are still there?
Well, Lindsay, President Biden says he's receiving regular reports about how to help those Americans. One option is using intelligence to assess threats and determine possible escape routes, possibly sending Navy ships to that port outside of the capital to pick up people who've made it there. But the State Department is stressing that it has been telling Americans now for nearly 2 years not to travel to Sudan at all. Lindsay?
Elizabeth from the White House, thanks so much.
so they did speak a little bit on leaving the Americans behind. There's a pattern there. Okay, that's what happened in Afghanistan. Okay, remember that? So let's watch this guy. Now this is more.
Hello, my fellow.
This is Steve Poplar, the Poplar Report, 8 hours ago. U.S. citizens abandoned in a war zone. Again, no rescue plan being considered. Now, let's hear the news from a not so slick and more realistic point of view. All right.
Of Sudan,
Salakia.
Khartoum.
Started at the top here.
On Saturday, during the 72-hour ceasefire in the capital of Sudan, Khartoum, 100 special operations soldiers with airlift capacity went into Sudan and evacuated approximately 100 State Department employees from the embassy there in Khartoum. What is starting to look more and more like another Afghanistan for this administration, we're seeing that 16,000 American citizens, are still in Sudan. The State Department is saying it's not safe to undertake a U.S. government-coordinated evacuation of private American citizens at this time. Someone should get on the horn and let the State Department know that apparently both the RSF and the SAF, which are the two warring parties in Sudan are already coordinating with Britain, China, and France for the evacuation of their civilians. But then again, America last again, isn't it? Friends, I don't know how much you've followed the evacuation out of Afghanistan and how American civilians and citizens were left behind in the chaos, but there are several important things we need to take away from this, several important lessons that you need to be learning, because these are so critical. So many people don't get this, but government soldiers, government police, government employees protect government employees, not citizens, unless it's convenient to protect citizens. We're seeing this on display once again. American soldiers will take care of American soldiers. American soldiers will take care of government employees of the United States because that's their orders. When it comes to the President of the United States and the powers that be, there are two very distinct groups of people: American citizens and American government employees. American government employees are worth risking and jeopardizing American soldiers for. American citizens are not. Foreign citizens are worth risking American soldiers' lives for, but American citizens are not. If you're not catching the theme yet of America Last that is on full display for the world, how come the UK, China, and France are able to figure out a way that they can start evacuating their citizens and civilians, but the United States can't seem to figure it out? It's not that we don't have smart people running computers and on the phones. It's that we have a lack of will, lack of vision, and a lack of urgency from the top. The United States government is incapable in its current form to protect American citizens and American civilians, both at home. Just look at the southern border. Look at the southern border and just try to keep a straight face as you try to tell me that the U.S. government exists to protect its citizens.
Esau is losing his shit.
Go to New York City. Even New York City, you couldn't get a more liberal, more blue state government, and they're out there saying that the migrant crisis is absolutely the government turning its back on New York City. Go to any of these other inner cities where people are just fleeing. Baltimore inner city is all but dead. Chicago, everyone's moving out.
Dog whistle.
San Francisco, same thing. Los Angeles, same thing. Nobody wants to be in the downtown areas because they're overrun.
So, we'll cut it right there. All right. Hey, what does all of this mean? It means that Babylon is fallen, Babylon the Great is no more. All right. What's happening? Let's just go to Obadiah and we'll end it. All right. Let's go to 1 and 7. Let's find out what the hell is going on here. All right. Esau. Start right here. How are the things, Obadiah 1 and 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee, why are they kicking you out? Why are you running for your life? You got kicked out of Afghanistan. You're getting kicked out of Djibouti. You're getting kicked in your Djibouti right now. Right? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him. Edom is going down. Okay? Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau. Let's read this in the NLT. Obadiah 1 and 7. All your allies, right? Apparently you had allies in the Sudan for a minute. Now you're running. All your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you and you won't even know about it. Okay? This is the time that we're in right now. You Edomites are done. All right? So we'll keep our eye on the whole whatever you want to call it, the Sudanese debacle here, all right? Because it's expanding. We'll find out what's really going on in the next between now and next week. We'll find out, the real scenario will come out. Of course, ABC News is going to spin it the way they want to, but we'll find out, all right? So with that, we hope that the elect were edified. It's just a little Monday update. Tomorrow we have Wars and Rumors of War Tuesday. So we'll see you then. We hope that the elect were edified. You brothers, few sisters, with that shalom.